Let's go Broncos! What if I told you that one decision, just one contract, could change the entire trajectory of the Denver Broncos 2026 season? What if the fate of the offense, the depth of the running back group, and even Sean Payton's loyalty to his trusted veterans depended on J.K. Dobbins' contract renewal? Because that's exactly where we're at this crossroads right now. And believe me, it goes far beyond simply keeping a running back. The Broncos have big questions to answer this offseason. But this one, it's the kind of decision that could either propel a Super Bowl run or destroy everything they've built so far. If you're with this team through thick and thin, click the like button right now. And if you're excited about the possibility of reaching the Super Bowl in 2026, leave a comment saying, "Go Broncos!" In 2026, we'll come back even stronger. Alright, let's get down to business, because what's happening behind the scenes at Dove Valley might surprise you. Now, let's get into the news, and it's a big one. Will the Denver Broncos re-sign running back J.K. Dobbins? It's not just a simple contract situation. This one carries serious implications for the entire offense. And frankly, it's one of the biggest mysteries of the offseason. Let's lay out the facts. J.K. Dobbins was, without a doubt, the most productive back the Broncos have had in the last 7 years. In 2025, through the first 10 games, he was averaging nearly 78 yards per game and was on a trajectory to have a career-best season. Then came the injury, caused by a controversial hip-drop tackle against the Raiders, and suddenly, Denver's running game had to scramble. The loss of Dobbins disrupted the offense in a major way. That injury, and his history of injuries in general, is what makes this decision so complex. Despite that, the emotional and leadership value of Dobbins hasn't gone unnoticed. In end-of-season press conferences, both Sean Payton and George Payton spoke glowingly about J.K. They emphasized how big of a loss he was, not just on the field, but in the locker room. Payton specifically highlighted how much Dobbins meant to the team culture and how he handled himself behind the scenes. Dobbins himself has made it clear that he wants to stay in Denver. He even talked about retiring as a Bronco one day. That says a lot about his commitment. But here's where it gets tricky. The free agent market for running backs this offseason is loaded. Players like Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Tyler Allgeier, and even former Broncos back Javonte Williams are all part of a potentially deep and talented class. Plus, there are bound to be surprise cuts from other teams. It's a buyer's market, and the Broncos have options. That's why fans are split. Do you stick with the guy you know in Dobbins, who's elite when healthy, or do you test the market and go after someone with a cleaner injury history? Then there's R.J. Harvey, who stepped up admirably after Dobbins went down. The Broncos were forced to accelerate Harvey's development, and while he showed promise, it also revealed how thin the position group really is. Behind Harvey, it was Jaleel McLaughlin and not much else. The Broncos can't afford to be in that position again if they want to make a serious playoff push. And here's the real kicker. Does re-signing Dobbins block the Broncos from adding another significant back? Ideally, the team would bring him back on a one-year deal, with the understanding that it doesn't limit them from exploring other upgrades either in free agency or the draft. But that raises another question. Would Dobbins be willing to take on a more reduced role? Would he accept being a third-down back or a rotational piece rather than a clear-cut RB1? Sean Payton has previously emphasized that it's easier to operate with 2 running backs in a rotation rather than 3. If Dobbins is back, alongside Harvey, does that leave any room for a significant free agent addition? And from the perspective of another free agent RB, why come to Denver when it looks like the pecking order is already set? There's also the issue of durability. Let's be real, Dobbins hasn't finished an NFL season healthy. It's not necessarily fair to label a player as injury-prone in a game as violent as football, but it's a factor teams have to weigh, especially when talking about running backs. It's one of the most physically demanding positions in the sport. Counting on any one player to stay healthy for 17 games is a big gamble. So if the Broncos are serious about improving the run game, and there's debate about whether the issue is more about scheme or personnel, then they have to consider how Dobbins fits into that vision. The answer might be re-signing Dobbins on a team-friendly deal while still pursuing someone like Tyler Allgeier, or drafting a back who can push for touches. Either way, depth at RB3 must improve. No disrespect to Tyler Batty, but Denver needs someone who can contribute real snaps if the top 2 guys go down. And maybe that's the solution. Keep Dobbins, but make it clear his role might shift. Build the room around competition, not sentiment. Because as much as we respect Dobbins and what he's done in the orange and blue, this team is trying to reach a Super Bowl. Loyalty matters, but availability and impact matter more when the stakes are this high. Alright, picking up right where we left off, because this conversation about J.K. Dobbins is just the tip of the iceberg. If the Broncos decide to bring him back, that decision is going to have a ripple effect across the entire offensive depth chart. It's not just about one running back, it's about what kind of identity this offense wants to have in 2026 and beyond. Let's talk about some of the familiar names, Sean Payton's guys. Players like Adam Troutman, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and Michael Burton are all set to hit free agency. These are players with strong ties to Payton from his New Orleans days. They know his system, they understand his culture, and they've been security blankets throughout his time in Denver. But here's the reality. The Broncos are entering a make-or-break phase. The foundation has been set. The culture is established. Now it's time to evolve. And the big question becomes, do these players still fit? Take Adam Troutman, for example. He's been a reliable option in the tight end room, especially in the run game as a blocker. But if we're being honest, his role in the passing game has been minimal. Whether that's a scheme issue or a limitation in his skill set is up for debate. We saw it late in the season when Troutman needed just 5 receptions to hit a contract incentive. Normally, Sean Payton is known for helping players get their money in those situations. But not this time. Sean even said Troutman's usage was right in line with what he averages per season, which isn't exactly a glowing endorsement. That tells you everything. The tight end position under Sean Payton hasn't been emphasized in the passing game. Not for Troutman, not for Nate Adkins, and not even for Evan Ingram. It's clear that unless there's a shift in offensive philosophy or Davis Webb takes over play calling, this position will continue to be more about blocking than catching. So the question becomes, is it worth keeping a guy like Troutman if the offensive system isn't even going to feature him? Now let's shift to wide receiver. Lil Jordan Humphrey is another familiar face who stepped up when the Broncos dealt with injuries, but let's be brutally honest. He's not someone you want in your top 4 rotation if you're serious about contending for a Super Bowl. He had some key plays, sure. He also had some costly drops. In a game against the Bills, he dropped a crucial pass but later made up for it with a redemption play. That kind of inconsistency can't be part of your offensive plan if you're trying to become one of the top units in the league. It comes down to this. Are these players helping you move forward or holding you back out of comfort and familiarity? If the Broncos want to elevate the offense, they need to look beyond familiar faces and focus on talent. As harsh as it sounds, it's not enough to be dependable. The team needs playmakers, guys who can take over a drive, guys who force defensive coordinators to stay up late at night. Denver ranked near the bottom of the league in 3 and outs. That has to change, and that change starts with personnel. One name to watch is T.J. Hockenson. The Vikings just fired their general manager, and there's speculation that a trade could be possible. If Denver could land someone like Hockenson and pair him with Evan Ingram, who's likely to return, you've suddenly got a real threat at tight end. Creative moves like that are what it's going to take, not more of the same. Now let's look at the fullback position. Michael Burton has been a veteran presence, but after suffering a hamstring injury in training camp, it was Adam Prentice who stepped in and impressed. This is likely the end of the road for Burton in Denver. Prentice, along with some hybrid flexibility from Nate Adkins, gives the Broncos what they need at that position. This all ties back into the running back room too. If you bring back Dobbins, if you trust R.J. Harvey to continue his growth, and if you draft or sign another versatile back, then guys like Troutman, Humphrey, and Burton simply become expendable. The offense is going to need to make room on the roster and in the budget for actual difference makers, not just glue guys. And Sean Payton is at a fork in the road. Does he double down on his old Saints guys, or does he open up the playbook, literally and figuratively, for new talent to emerge? 2026 can't be a repeat of past years. The expectations are too high now. You made it to the AFC Championship game. You're not rebuilding anymore, you're trying to win it all. The final piece of this puzzle could be determined by who calls plays on offense. If Davis Webb is promoted and given control, there's a real chance we see the tight end position evolve. Webb could bring a more modern and dynamic style, where tight ends and running backs are more involved in the passing game. If Sean Payton keeps calling plays, it might be more of the same. And of course, there's one more name hanging over all of this, George Payton. Rumors are swirling that the Minnesota Vikings might have interest in bringing him back as general manager. He still has a year left on his deal in Denver, so any move would require negotiation or a release. But losing Payton would be significant. He and Payton have built a strong front office tandem, and it's clear they have a shared vision. Losing that could create more uncertainty in an already pivotal offseason. The Broncos have done a lot of work to get to this point. They've built a foundation. They've reestablished credibility. They've brought back swagger. But now, it's about finding the talent to match the vision. It's about upgrading.